Government has classified the foodborne illnesses as a national disaster. Let's get a reaction from National Economic Development and Labour Council constituency head Thulani Tshefuta. Thulani, good to speak to you. Now, the government has classified foodborne illnesses a national disaster. What does this declaration, if you will, mean for spaza shop owners and communities?
Good afternoon, Hugo, and the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. We most certainly welcome the declaration of these occurrences as a national disaster, of which we concur that they spell a national disaster indeed. If you check the frequency with which these occurrences have been taking place, they spell a disaster. If you check the seriousness of the illnesses with which the children who have consumed these products have happened, spells a disaster, up to even the level of the unfortunate loss of life and death that has come from this. And the network at which they've been taking place, not only limited to one region in a province, across the provinces, across the whole country. So that is indeed a national disaster that, if not properly checked, it may actually even suggest that there has been a deliberate ploy to actually wipe out some elements of children who are more exposed to this as buying from the spaza shops, and of course communities themselves not immune to that. So it is indeed properly classified as a national disaster. And if that is the case, the response must have the same level of seriousness, agility, and scale.
Thulani, what would suggest that there is a deliberate effort or a deliberate attempt to wipe out certain individuals, young individuals in particular? Is there any evidence to suggest this?
When, in our view, when anyone tampers with something that people consume and eat, there is no other intention to make those people healthy. There is no intention. Those things are poisonous. Those things are not tablets. They are not pills. The minute you manufacture, they're unlike a fake T-shirt that you can wear and appear to be in fashion. You eat it, and when you eat it, it does not look you good. It does not make you look good inside. It is killing you slowly. And so there is no other intention other than ill-fated intention of killing people if you give them poisonous food products whose ultimate end is known. There is no other way about that. And so that is why we believe that the intention is not holy at all. And the fact that people have actually died should be reason and evidence enough beyond any other doubt. We are not saying people are going to fall ill. People have fallen ill. We're not saying people are going to die. Precious lives have been lost and they have died.
Now, President Ramaphosa emphasized the need for spaza shops to register within 21 days. How feasible is this for informal businesses? Was it a knee-jerk reaction? Because speaking to many spaza shop owners, talking to us about the processes and obviously the number of spaza shops around the country, it almost seems impractical. Your thoughts?
It is indeed a reactive response on the side of government to respond in this way, which is a weakness on its own. But on the other side of the equation, we accept and commend the responsiveness after the case has happened. Now, registration on its own is not going to be a silver bullet that is going to resolve all these challenges that come with this. We believe and accept that it is a good starting point. So there are certain assumptions that must come with the process of registration itself. The first of those assumptions is that when the president says we register in 21 days, it means the authorities and the offices that will be running the registration must be beefed up and capacitated to have warm bodies, to have spaces, to have the necessary tools and equipment to undertake the actual registration. If it has to be done in 21 days, we must accept that some of these people are running businesses for their own livelihood, especially South Africans, and they must not be taken away from business to go and spend extended periods of time in queues that will be registering. The registration must be decentralized. It must have extended hours such that people are able to spend the shortest time possible, register and go away. That is the first assumption that must be made. Because if there is no capacity provided efficiently to run the registration, then it does not mean anything. It's an empty pronouncement. Secondly, the other assumption that we must make with registration is that registration on its own will not mean anything. Registration must be accompanied and buttressed with continuous and consistent monitoring and oversight, because the act of changing stock in these spaza shops is not a once-off event. They may have what is fresh today, may no longer be fresh few days down the line. Who is there to undertake the oversight and see that indeed those that were fresh today, no longer fresh few days down the line, are off the shelves? And that is the capacity that must be provided for small businesses and support, and even at municipal levels for health and safety. And thirdly, what must be said is that, as one of the most important assumptions, this food is not manufactured inside the spaza shops themselves. There is a full value chain that must be tracked back to the origin and the source of the manufacturing of these products. Now we are sitting with evidence of a manufacturing plant for these fake goods, products, food products, that is situated in KwaZulu-Natal province, which is widely reported. And so we must go back and track the different elements of the value chain. Who are the sources of these food products, and make sure that we close it even from that level. We must challenge the big brand owners of the products that are replicated in this illegal manufacturing, such that they also take interest in following up to test if indeed these products that are sold in some of the downstream shops are selling the genuine products from them. And those can be the complementarities that are done between government in municipalities, even in provincial and national government, collaborating with private sector that has interest of making sure that the right quality products and the brands which are purported are indeed the correct ones. That is what we believe should be done. And we must encourage people that 21 days is 21 days. We can't start by saying 21 days is not feasible, even when we have not gone to test that indeed it can be done in the shortest time possible. Lives are involved here. We can't prolong the problem of solving anything that is challenging the very essence of being of the people, which is their life.
Thulani, you raised some incredibly important points there, but I'd also like to focus on that 500 million rand fund, which aims to support township and rural businesses. Do you believe this will address the root cause of the crises? Because there are many issues that you've talked about in this conversation that suggest that government seems to be focusing on an area that may not necessarily mitigate the challenges. So, for instance, there are those organizations, companies, or illegal organizations that are manufacturing fake foodstuffs. But the focus is not on the manufacturer. The focus is on the person who's on selling the product.
Our call is that, as we say, we must track back the entire value chain and nip all the elements of this illegality from wherever they may arise. And in actual fact, some were even beginning to claim that they buy some of these products from the well-established retailers. And if they buy it a week before it expires, they get it at a cheaper price. So what are these retailers saying these people are going to do with these products when they sell them on the eve of expiry? Do they even take interest of where do these products end up? And so there should be no holy cows in this process. Secondly, we must welcome the injection of the 500 million rand to support these spaza shops as informal businesses and small businesses. What we must equally say is that we must never, through this process, introduce other unintended downstream problems. for the very same small businesses. Because the minute you rush informal businesses into formalization, you are killing them. So the 500 million rand capital injection to support these businesses must be anchored on other non-financial business development support type services. It must be anchored with other incentives that will support these businesses. For example, the process of registration itself must not automatically include the fact that, therefore, despite any level of operation of the spaza shops, you are going to be compelled to pay tax. Yes, tax is important, but for the smallest of these businesses, it can be a relief that is given as an incentive to say, we are doing the registration so that we know who is where, we know who is selling what, where, to whom, and we have these as businesses, and what type of support will be given to those.
Well, Thulani, I certainly hope that you are having some of these conversations with the government to push this narrative forward. That's where we're going to have to leave that conversation. Thulani Tshefuta, NEDLAC constituency head, challenging government to focus on the core areas that are leading to the challenges that we've seen, many of which have resulted in the untimely death of innocent young people. All right.